is black!
Just be yourself and hit them with hey. Also, I just bought the Anarchy hoodie yesterday. Can't wait. Finna resubscribe in a little W female viewer. Big 2 months December 9th.
Thank you so much. Bro, you're just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it!
You ever notice some people only recognize value after somebody else builds it? First they ignore it, then they mock it, then they copy it, and then they invest in it. Then somehow they become the face of it.
How do you respond to a magazine that means so much to over 4 million readers each month?
I like its style. Hair, clothes, makeup, it's all there.
A magazine called Essence, sparkling with fashion and fantasy and faces you want to see close up. How do you respond to a magazine totally dedicated to the life and times of sophisticated black readers like you?
It's my career guide.
What about a magazine that brings you home, health, glamour, all at big savings when you subscribe?
Savings? Now you're talking my language.
So how do you respond to Essence?
Interesting. Today we're talking about Essence, because sometimes the real story isn't who entered the room. It's who quietly stopped being centered once the room became valuable. Welcome to The Fine Print with Avery Morgan, where we read what they hope you skipped, ask the questions they hoped you wouldn't, and give the fine print a little side-eye. And with April being recognized by many as the new Black Media Month, we're spotlighting the platforms that shape the message. Let's get into this. Essence Communication was never just a magazine. It was positioning, a place where foundational Black American women were centered without apology. Beauty, business, politics, style, health, family, aspiration. At a time when many mainstream spaces treated Black American women like an afterthought, Essence treated them like a headline. Then Essence Festival became the live version of that influence, culture with receipts. And let's not pretend Essence was only about fashion spreads and festival stages, because that's not the case. It was also a microphone, a trusted platform, the place politicians wanted interviews, the place campaigns wanted visibility, the place narratives got introduced, polished, and repeated. Because when a community trusts the messenger carries the power. Power to spotlight issues, power to ignore issues, power to tell people what progress looks like, and power to decide who speaks for the room. People think power only sits in the office. Sometimes it sits in editorial meetings. Then came a major ownership shift.
The godfather of Black media, or is he an elite Liberian billionaire who built an entire empire on your loyalty? Last year I told y'all Essence Fest didn't feel the same, so I did some research. Here's what I found out. Essence was acquired by Richie Lou Dennis January 2018. His origin story is presented as a rags to riches immigrant come-up story, when in reality, he didn't flee poverty. He fled a violent overthrow of the Liberian elite. Richie Lou's family lineage is part of the oppressing class of elite Liberians. Richie Lou himself confirms his mother's position as an economist for the Liberian government. This was under President Tolbert. The government was violently overthrown in the 1980s. Richie Lou Dennis owns or controls the majority of Black women's legacy media in America. In 2017, he sells Shea Moisture to Unilever for $1.6 billion, a company built on the backs of Black American women's loyalty and dollars. It was sold to Unilever, a white British corporation. 1 month later, the British government knights him. Makes him knight and commander for contributions to democratization. This relationship dates back to 1997. This is just a case of the elite rewarding and acknowledging the elite. Then in 2018, he uses that money from Unilever to purchase Essence magazine. He now controls Sundial Media Group. What is under Sundial Media Group? Essence Magazine, Essence Festival, Refinery 29, BeautyCon, and Afropunk. He also runs the New Voices Fund, a $200 million fund that decides which Black women entrepreneurs gets their capital. Keep in mind which kinds of Black women. That'll come back up later. Oh, Almost forgot. He also owns Madam C.J. Walker's mansion. Who gave him that? Madam C.J. Walker built her fortune selling to Black American women. She employed them, she trained them, and she created economic independence for them. Dennis purchased the mansion back in 2018 and promised to turn it into an institution for Black women entrepreneurs. That never happened. But let's take a look and see who gets featured in Essence. Essence platforms them. They build audiences, brands partner, access to politicians. They even interview presidents. All of that influence flows back to the network. So where's the money going? Essence gets Louisiana state funding. They're using your tax dollars. The money doesn't stay in New Orleans. It goes here. September 2024, Essence Ventures partners with the Nigerian federal government. They have a partnership. Essence becomes the official global and knowledge partner for Destination 2030. Don't be confused. This is not a sponsorship. This is a government partnership. Your magazine partnering with a foreign government without asking you. Do the viewers know? I don't think they know. This is the Nigerian government's campaign to make Nigeria the global capital for Black culture. Of Black culture? Meanwhile, back in Louisiana, the convention center is owed $456,000. Local vendors are owed $1 million. So the vendors never got paid. Did you make any money last year? He can't pay the local vendors, but he can invest $300,000 in the Liberian Presidential Center. He can fly influencers to Lagos. The money is there. It's just not going to Louisiana. It's just not going to New Orleans. It's going to Lagos. It's going to Liberia. It's going to foreign governments.
Richie Lou Dennis, a Liberian-born businessman tied to Essence Ventures, became the public face of the acquisition. Many headlines celebrated Black ownership, but some Black American voices asked a more specific question: Black ownership broadly, or foundational Black American stewardship specifically? Because broad labels can hide meaningful distinctions. And when an institution was historically trusted by foundational Black American women and families, people notice who holds the key.
You know what also got me? That Jollof versus Jambalaya competition sent me. I've been to Essence. Floor seats, packed stadium. Went last year, 95% empty. They are begging the state of Louisiana to bail them out. They owe $1.3 million to their vendors. Remember when they tried to stop them 2 Black women from doing their event the same weekend that they had the Essence Festival? Legal got their lawyers involved. Stopped their event the night before it was supposed to happen. And the city of New Orleans had to come out and make a statement saying that they did not approve of that. And that's not what the law was for. You know who is the CEO of Essence Festival? An African? Owner of Essence Festival. His name is Richie Lou Dennis, and he's upset with us because we are still boycotting Target. He's like, we've made our point. They get our economic leverage. We should move on, and we should go back to Target.
Then there's executive leadership. Carolyn Wenger served as a key public executive voice during the modern era of Essence.
The opportunity to join a group of people that went to Ghana for the Full Circle Festival. I had talked with my dad about being excited about going because I knew my Kenyan heritage. I'd known it from the beginning. My dad told me all those stories, right? It was undisrupted by the slave trade on the eastern coast. I was excited to go to Ghana because the remnants on the coast there of the transatlantic slave trade were something I didn't see in Kenya, and I was excited to see that. So I was talking to him about that, and he paused and he said, well, there was another slave trade that happened on the eastern coast of Africa that doesn't have a lot of history behind it because it took slaves to Asia, but they weren't allowed to procreate, and so it didn't last as long. He said, so our heritage did interact with slavery in Kenya. And I was like, well, Dad, you said it wasn't disrupted. And he says, well, the Wangas did what they had to do to survive, which meant participate in the enslavement of other Kenyans.
Wow.
And whether people like it or not, CEO leadership matters because CEOs influence strategy, branding. She partnered with Target, messaging, public responses, and corporate priorities. So when audiences say something feels different, they're often reacting to the decisions that was made far above the stage lights.
First of all, Essence Festival is coming up, and Black Americans are boycotting Essence Festival.
Now, I don't normally head no boycotts, and I ain't heading this one either. But what I am saying to you is the local people in Black America are not supporting Essence Festival because they have completely Africanized it. No longer does Essence Festival belong to Black America. It is.
So I'm seeing so many people talk about Essence and how the Target boycott is affecting Essence and how over the years they've moved away from the essence of Essence Festival. You know, it's funny. I don't think a lot of people realize, but when the Essence Music Festival, its original title, was started, Essence wasn't owned. It wasn't Black owned. Yes, Susan Taylor was in her role, but it was owned by Time Warner. Well, Time Incorporated, which is a subsidiary of Time Warner. So it was owned by a company that was a white company. It was white owned, ultimately. It's just that all the people that we saw at the helm looked like us. So it's not just about that. And ironically, Essence now is owned by the CEO or the owner. Don't get me mixed up with the titles, but the owner of Shea Moisture. So even though he sold off some of his company to Unilever, I believe, I think he retained Essence. I started noticing the difference actually when he took over. That's when things started changing because he started trying to appeal to younger people. And not that that's a bad thing, because in marketing, that's what they make you think, that everything you need to appeal to young people, but that's not really what Essence was about, or the audience. Also, the initial audience started getting older, but still attending.
And festivals don't appear by magic. They are built by planners, executives, programming teams, talent bookers, corporate sponsors, and brand strategists, and all of those things. So when people ask why the festival changed, they're really asking who was in the room making the decision.
Oh, this makes a lot of sense as to why the Essence Fest bombed this year. I thought this was a lie. This mostly white organization for events literally planned the event. They did scripting, they did production design. Oh, I didn't believe this post at first. I said, oh, this is rage-based.
Who selected the tone? Who chose the priorities? Who decided what gets centered? The crowds don't design experiences. Leadership does.
Stephanie Mills, for those who don't know, is royalty when it comes to R&B. And as long as the festival awards or event has been taken or happening, I've never ever heard her, or I don't recall any other celebrity or high profile individual complaining about it. So for her to take time out of her day and write a letter, that's serious. The audacity of you to come in and purchase something just because it was for sale and think that you're going to remove the essence, which is Black American, stand on our shoulders, and then think you was going to take off to the stratosphere.
Then something familiar happened. Once legacy becomes profitable, new interests appear. New priorities, new language, new branding, new gatekeepers. And the original audience starts hearing a sentence they know all too well. This space is for everyone now, which sounds nice, until everyone somehow means the founders are no longer primary. That's interesting. And people will call it bitterness, they'll call it jealousy, division, and that's not the case, because sometimes it's just pattern recognition. Build the culture, then lose the narrative. Build the sound, then lose the credit. Build the institution, then lose the center seat. People are not always angry. Sometimes they're simply observant. Some voices say FBA have no distinct culture, and that's an interesting claim, because the music travels, the slang travels, the aesthetics, the political language, the style, the influence, it all travels. And somehow, there's nothing there, except everything people keep reaching for. They deny the roots while enjoying the fruit. No one is shocked that others showed up. People are noticing who stopped being centered once they did. And that's a different conversation, and usually the real one. When people say it was just a magazine, they miss the oldest trick in power. First control the story, then watch the loyalty follow. They deny the roots while enjoying the fruit. This has been The Fine Print with Avery Morgan. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.